on the interwebs. Can y'all hear me?
Lock them out on the.
You're
Ken Moore, we can hear you.
Toda. All right, so today's lesson is let your guard down. Let it go. All right. Hey, Caleb, since you're back there, would you read the rules for me? He said, open your eyes.
Please keep your mic muted except when asking or answering a question. There's a feature on Zoom in the meeting room that is used to raise your hand if you have a question or statement. Also here in the assembly, if you have a question or statement, raise your hand and speak into the mic for everyone to hear. All questions, answers, and statements must be on topics. You can only answer one time per question or statement. You have 60 seconds to ask or answer a question. If you pass your 60-second window, your mic will be muted for you. For those that are in the room, you also have 60 seconds to ask or answer a question. There are mics that will be passed around that are to be used to ask or answer those questions. All statements in the room must be limited to 20 seconds. The microphones need to be used to share with others that may not hear you online. These rules are due to time and recordings of the lessons. These are live teachings. We must give the moire enough time to complete the lesson. This will be mixed with discussion to help build one another. Please do not abuse the time.
Toda. All right, and the warning. Take this time to explain that this lesson and the lessons thereafter are not based on any one individual, either in this assembly locally or abroad. The lessons were not developed by myself alone. Yes, the Father has something, if not all, to do with them. If these lessons hit certain points that you feel or believe have something to do with you, all praise to the Father. Take that knowledge and apply the solution to your life. Take everything personal, but do not take offense and miss the message that is being given to help solidify your salvation. All right, first scripture, Deuteronomy 23:7-9. Do not loathe an Edomite, for he is your brother. Do not loathe a Mitzrayim, because you were a stranger in his land. The children of the third generation born to them do enter the assembly of Yahuwah. When the camp goes out against your enemies, then you shall guard yourself from every evil matter. Get that thing going? Shamar means guard, keep, watch over, right? And to protect as well. 2 Samuel 22:24-25. And I am perfect before him, and I guard myself from my crookednesses. And Jehovah repays me according to my righteousness, according to my cleanness before his eyes. Luke 12-13. Someone in the crowd said to him, Teacher, tell my brother to divide the inheritance with me. But he said to him, Man, who made me a judge or arbitrator over you? And he said to them, Take care and be on your guard against all covetousness, for one's life does not consist in the abundance of his possessions. All right, that Greek word there is from the idea of isolation. In other words, to be on guard, right? So we want to be on guard and we want to guard ourselves, right? Yahushua said to them in Matthew, Mind and beware of the leaven of the Pharisees and the Sadducees. And they reasoned among themselves, saying, Because we brought no bread. So we're to be aware of certain things, right? All right, prosec, to hold the mind towards, pay attention, or be cautious about. Mishlei Proverbs tells us in 7, Say to wisdom, you are my sister, and call understanding a close friend, to guard you against the strange woman, and against the foreigner who flatters with her words. All right, so based on what we read, it would seem that we want to keep our guards up, right? Yep. And I do agree that there's certain instances we want to keep our guards up. But who or what are we to keep our guard up against? Open question, online or in the room, somebody can answer. I mean, I hope we know we're supposed to guard ourselves against. We're not doing a good job.
The guard is down right now.
Hasatan, the enemy.
All right, guard yourself from Hasatan. Who else? Oh, it's not looking too good for us. I mean, some of them were in the verses. You know, I don't do trick questions. All right, Ema got a mic. Ema got a mic.
Ourselves. We can
Okay.
be our worst enemy.
That is true in times. How about the verse that told us to guard ourselves against every evil matter? Well, we're to guard against my crookednesses, right? Guard against ourselves. We want to beware of the leaven, right? I did not see that hand. My fault. Now, Mana, what you got? I'll take that one off for you. Was that an accident hand that went up? All right. We want to be aware of the strange woman and the foreigner, right? Those dang women again, I tell you. The strange ones, though, not the righteous ones, some strange ones, causing trouble. That's that foreigner, that foreigner. Right? Yeah, the foreigner is the strange dude, and then the strange woman. We also want to guard against all covetousness, correct? All right. So we want to guard against unrighteousness and the unrighteous, correct? Everybody in agreement? All right. But what's the title of today's lesson? Let your guard down, but I just talked about guarding ourselves, right? How's that going to make any sense? So I think most of us can say that we do a good job of keeping our guard up against the unrighteous and against unrighteousness, right? All right, let's give ourselves a round of applause. All right, stop. Enough. I'll also say that many of us also do a good job of keeping our guard up against the righteous as well, which is why we got to stop clapping. Hence, the title of today's lesson is Letting Your Guard Down. When we are dealing with each other, we should not be unwilling nor unable to let our guard down. Right? So we're going to talk about how we're dealing amongst ourselves and with each other. Should Google stand by? I'm letting my guard down. I'm about to trust you after last week's shenanigans. So please don't make me regret my decision. All right. So why is this important to consider? Just one example of many, but there's a bunch, right? Consider this. Keeping our guard up against each other is selfish. It's also an act of unbelief. It hinders the growth of the assembly. It says that we trust ourselves in our way more than we trust our Father, which is not good. This guy. All right, let's look at Psalms 26-9. Now I know that Yahuwah shall save his anointed. He answers him from his set-apart heavens with the saving might of his right hand. Some trust in chariots, and some trust in horses. Some trust in themselves. But we remember the name of Yahuwah our Elohim. They have bowed down and fallen, but we have risen and are established. Save Yahuwah. Let the sovereign answer us in the day we call. Isaiah 31. Woe to those who go down to Mitzrayim for help and rely on horses, who trust in chariots or themselves, because they are many, and the horsemen because they are very strong, but who do not look to the set-apart one of Israel, nor seek Yahuwah. That's none of us, right? We would never do such a thing, right? Yeah, we do it all the time. We do it all the time. All right. So we want to be those, if y'all could only hear, we want to be those that trust in our Elohim at all times and in all situations. If we trust him to protect us, then we don't have to keep our guard up in an effort to protect ourselves. So let's consider some ways that we can do a better job at letting our guard down. All right. So here's a few different ways that we can walk this out and practice it, right? We can give an open or detailed praise report. We can let our guard down by being able and willing to ask for help. Also being vulnerable and saying, I don't know, when someone asks you for something, right? Because you don't let your pride get in the way. And also, you have to allow yourself to be loved. If you got your guard up, you're not going to let yourself be truly loved the way that you should be or the way you desire or the way Yahuwah intended, right? All right. All right, Shirak Google, you're up. you got this next definition, so you better still be out there. Trigger discipline. Sherrod Google, explain what trigger discipline is from your training that you've received. Oh, yeah. He better be out there. I gave him a day's notice. He had something to do today. See, I let my guard down. This is what happens to me. All right, Google, you're all done. No more for you. That's 2 weeks in a row you let me down. But I will let my guard down. I'm gonna give you a third chance to get it right. What's going on with this? It's all right, Keith. All right. So, what he was gonna say is that trigger discipline is a state of mind where the shooter keeps his or her finger outside of the trigger guard area, usually pressing it against the frame above the trigger area in parallel with the barrel, until ready to fire the gun. Hold your hand up, I got you. This can be a difficult habit to acquire, but it is absolutely necessary for the safe handling of a firearm. Practicing trigger discipline is one of the 4 universal rules of safe gun handling, which Caleb knows all about now, as well as in life. You know, no more of this Rambo stuff. I'm so proud of you. It's okay. All right, so Sherrod Google, if you could tell me some of the four universal rules of safe gun handling. I can't put the hands up and down. Stop putting your hand up and answer the question. He talked earlier. His Google ain't Googling. Slow down. That was our technical difficulty guy in the back. No, not Kanan. The other guy. It wasn't Kanan. I see both hands raised. I'll get to y'all in a second. We got to handle something on our side so you guys can actually be heard.
Oh, I can't mute myself. All right, there we go. Y'all
All
got
right,
me muted.
I'm in color. Go ahead.
Hey,
I apologize. If you were trying to talk earlier, I take it back. It wasn't your fault.
what was the question again?
The last sentence talks about how trigger discipline is part of the 4 universal rules of safe gun handling. If you could tell me what those 4 universal rules are for safe gun handling.
All right. So before you
If you fail this, I'm telling you, pops.
all right, so treat all firearms as if they are loaded. Never point the firearm at anything you're not willing to shoot. Keep your finger off the trigger until you have made a decision on what to shoot. And know your target and understand what's beyond it.
All right. Appreciate you.
No problem.
Someone else had their hand raised a moment ago. Now's your chance. Now, Mana.
Shalom, Mari. I was just ready to answer those 4 questions for you.
All right. Appreciate you. So you think you got them right?
Treat every firearm as if it's loaded. Keep the muzzle pointed in a safe direction. And keep your finger off the trigger. And be certain of your target.
Yes.
All right.
So,
All right. So never point your gun at anything you do not intend to shoot.
Destroy.
Or destroy, right? Treat all guns as though they are loaded. Keep your finger off of the trigger until you are ready to shoot. And always be sure of your target and what's beyond it. So let's figure out how we can apply these to ourselves and not just dealing with a firearm, right? All right, we talked about this before, right? Collateral damage. Hurting people that we did not intend to hurt. Talked about that last week. We also talked about never point your gun at something that you do not intend to shoot. You want to make a wise decision. We've talked about that before, right? There you go. Treat all guns as though they are loaded. Be mindful of your words and your deeds. What you are going to do or say is going to have ramifications. So be mindful of that when you're dealing with each other. And keep your finger off of the trigger until you are ready to shoot. That's that trigger discipline. Basically, let your guard down. You should not have your pistol aimed at somebody at all times. It's okay to not point your gun at people, right? So let your guard down. You don't have to be on guard at all times. All right, so we talked about different ways that we can let our guard down. Today we're going to talk about one specifically, and probably the others I will touch when I'm up with you guys again, all right? In 90 days, yeah. 60 days. Wait, I think he just volunteered to do January. 90. That sounds great to me. All right. So one of the ways you can do that is giving an open or detailed praise report. Each week we start our day by opening the floor for praise reports, right? We also have group chats where we tell praise reports, correct? It's awesome to hear many of them, right? But there are some instances where the audience is left wondering, what exactly did Yah do? How did he move on your behalf? There's oftentimes details missing to the story. And speaking of catching strays, somebody about to catch a stray. No, we don't always have to have a 3-part miniseries like Shira Google, but we can definitely fill in the details. This may seem nitpicky, but it's important for a few reasons, right? First, it truly esteems our Father when we tell people what he did for us, right? It also reveals our trust in each other and our Father when we are vulnerable. The details may encourage someone who's going through a similar situation and may be in a place where they're doubting if Yah will move for them. So it's okay to just say, hey, he helped me out this week, right? Is that really truly praising the Father, though? Not really. It's acknowledging he exists, but nobody here doubts whether he exists, right? So we probably want to be a little bit better at that. So consider this. Everybody knows this verse, right? Would a man rob Elohim?
Of course.
Yet you are robbing me. But you said, in what have we robbed you? People have told you 1,000 times away, right? It's in the tithes and the offering. But notice it says tithe and the offering. What's one type of offering? In the microphone? Praise is an offering, right? So that word there actually refers to like a voluntary contribution. So is our praise forced from us? No, right? It's something that we are offering. But are we actually always offering it freely? Not if we're leaving out the details that might make us look a certain kind of way. I don't really want you to know what he saved me from, because then I got to reveal what I'm going through. And we oftentimes don't want to do that. All right? But is that the right thing to do? No. I mean, he said off mic, but honestly, if that's the way you're going to do it, you keep it to yourself, because you're really not esteeming him at all. You're simply acknowledging him, but we all know that he exists. All right. So our praise is a voluntary contribution to Yahuwah. To rob, it means to take something away by force without consent of the owner, whether something physical or something abstract. Can we touch praise? But it's still something that we can rob from Yahuwah. When we take something away, when he's done something for us and we don't reveal what he did, we took away a chance to esteem him. We took away the praise that we pretend that we're giving him. And we don't want to do that, right? It's not only harmful for our relationship with him, it also harms the body, because people can't truly understand what Yahuwah is doing for you. Because if he can do it for you, who else can he do it for? He can do it for everybody that's hearing the praise report, right? Somebody might need to hear that. Somebody could be in a spot where they absolutely need to know that he can save me from this. And we didn't give them an opportunity to know that because we were selfish with our praise. We don't want to do that. All right. Psalms 26 and 7. Proclaiming thanksgiving aloud and telling part of your wondrous deeds. Oh, No, we want to tell all the wondrous deeds, right? So we're going to look at some long deeds. Ibrahim 11:20 all the way to 35. This is by belief. Yitzchak blessed Yaakov and Esau concerning that which was to come. By belief, Yaakov, when he was dying, blessed each of the sons of Joseph and did reverence on the top of his staff. By belief, Joseph, when he was dying, made mention of the outgoing of the children of Israel and gave orders concerning his bones. By belief, Moshe, having been born, was hidden 3 months by his parents because he saw he was a comely child and were not afraid of the sovereign's command. We're already at 4. By belief, Moshe, having become great, refused to be called the son of the daughter of Pharaoh, choosing rather to be afflicted with the people of Elohim than to enjoy the pleasures of sin for a time, deeming the reproach of Mashiach greater riches than the treasures in Mitzrayim, for he was looking to the reward. By belief, he left Mitzrayim, not fearing the wrath of the sovereign, for he was steadfast, as seeing him who is invisible. By belief, he performed the Pesach and the sprinkling of blood, lest he who destroyed the firstborn should touch them. By belief, they passed through the Red Sea as by dry land. When the Mitzrayims tried it, they were drowned. By belief, the walls of Jericho fell, having been surrounded for 7 days. By belief, Rahab the whore did not perish with those who did not believe, having received the spies with peace. And what more shall I say? For the time would fail me to relate of Gideon and Barak and Shimshon and Yiftah, also of Dawid and Shemuel and the prophets, who through belief overcame reigns, worked righteousness, obtained promises, stopped the mouths of lions, quenched the power of fire, escaped the edge of the sword, out of weaknesses were made strong, became mighty in battle, put foreign armies to flight. I would say that's a pretty good, that's a report, right? I counted at least 6, 7, 8 different instances that he gave. And he said, y'all sure was good to me. He sure blessed them Hebrews.
Right on time.
Man, just what I needed, he gave me. Well, what did you need? What did he give? Details. The details matter. Let's look at Psalms 105, 2 through 5, right? No, we're going to go a while. Sing to him. Sing praise to him. Speak of some of his wonders. Oh, speak to all his wonders. Okay, good. Make your boast in his set-apart name. Let the hearts rejoice of those seeking Yahuwah. Seek Yahuwah in his strength. Seek his face sometimes. Always. Okay, good. Even when you're standing up to give your praise report, you should be seeking his face because he's the one you're praising. Don't worry about nobody else in that room. Right? You're giving praise to Yahuwah. Remember his wonders which he has done, his miracles and the right rulings of his mouth. O seed of Abraham, his servant, children of Yaakov, his chosen ones. He is Yahuwah our Elohim. His right rulings are in all the earth. He has remembered his covenant forever, the word he commanded for 1,000 generations, the covenant he made with Abraham, and his oath to Yitzchak, and established it to Yaakov for a law, to Israel an everlasting covenant, saying, to you I give the land of Canaan, the portion of your inheritance. When they were few in number, few indeed, and sojourners in it, and they went about from one nation to another, from one grain to another people. He allowed no one to oppress them, and he proved sovereigns for their sakes, saying, do not touch my anointed ones, and do my prophets no evil. And he called for a scarcity of food in the land. He cut off all the supply of bread. He sent ahead of them a man, Joseph, sold as a slave. They afflicted his feet with shackles. His neck was put in irons, until the time that his word came, the word of Yahuwah tried him. The sovereign sent and released him. The ruler of the people let him loose. He made him master of his house and ruler over all his possessions, to bind his chiefs at his pleasure and to teach his elders wisdom. Then Israel came to Mitzrayim, and Yaakov sojourned in the land of Ham. And he increased his people greatly and made them stronger than their enemies. He turned their heart to hate his people, to conspire against his servants. So what happened with Joseph? Yahuwah was good to Joseph. In the story. Is it? Man, he was great to Joseph. So somebody go through there and pick one thing that he did to Joseph. One thing that happened to Joseph. Into the microphone. Pick a verse. Anything after verse 17.
The font's too small. Yeah.
Pick any verse after 17 about what Joseph did. And what happened with Joseph.
Verse 21,
Read it for us.
he made him master of his house and the ruler over his possessions.
Great. Somebody read something else. Out loud, people. Into a microphone. Online too. Y'all awfully quiet. There you go. Go ahead, Naaman.
Shalom, Mori. To blind his chiefs at his pleasure and to teach his elders wisdom.
Toda,
Then
toda.
Yasharal to Mesmarine and Jacob sojourned in the land of Ham, and he increased his people greatly and made them stronger than their enemies and turned their hearts to hate his people, to conspire against his servants.
All right. So do we have
Oh,
to?
I'm sorry, was I supposed to stop?
Yeah, that would have been all right. But we good. We good. We'll keep it rocking.
Mr. Cup, he cut off all the supplies and brilliant.
All right. So do we have to wonder what Yahuwah did for Yosef? Why not? Because they made it clear. They made it plain. They gave an open, full, detailed report of what he did for him. Right? So might we want to do the same thing when we say that we're giving him praise? Absolutely. Go ahead, Aki.
I say, you know, we can apply this even today. A lot of us, when we're going through something, don't we go into Mizmor, Tehillim, or Psalms to look for something to help us what we're going through? It's the same principle. This is by him sharing all of that helps us today. No difference than what we're going through when he helps us overcome. When we share it to its entirety, it may help somebody else.
In the back.
Yeah, it's simply put, like I always tell everybody, your testimony can actually help someone else. So don't sit on what you have. Just say it. Don't worry about embarrassment or anything, because somebody else could be going through the same thing. And what helped you could also help them.
Hallelujah. Psalms 9:1. We're only going to go 3 to 10 this time, right? So I praise you, O Yahuwah, with all my heart, and I declare a few of your wonders. Okay. So if we're praising him with all of our heart, then we have to declare all, right? Because if we only declare half of it or pieces of it, or we hold back, is that giving him all our heart? Absolutely not. When my enemies turn back, they stumble and perish before you. For you executed my right and my cause. You sat on the throne judging in righteousness. You have rebuked the nations. You have destroyed the wrong. You have wiped out their name forever and ever. The enemy is no more, ruins everlasting. And you have uprooted the cities. Even their remembrance has perished. But Yahuwah abides forever. He is preparing his throne for judgment, and he judges the world in righteousness. He judges the peoples in straightness. And Yahuwah is a refuge for the crushed one, a refuge in times of distress. And those who know your name trust in you, for you have not forsaken those who seek you, O Yahuwah. Right? It doesn't always take 35 verses, right? But this is a complete picture of him moving on our behalf, right? Same thing that we want to do when we're talking about his wonders and how wonderful he is. All right. So notice the details in all these reports, right? So when we give our praise reports, let's try to avoid generic praise when we can. Now, Sharak Karash will often start us off just by thanking him for the breath in our lungs. Thank him for waking us up every morning. That's 1010% correct. That's something that he did for us. He didn't have to wake us up, right? But we can't stop there, right? But when we say vague things about a specific situation, such as, I had a problem this week and he worked it out for me. If you're going to take it there and address something specific, then you need to be specific, right? That's not the best praise when we say something generic like that. Someone could be going through a similar problem, but they would never know because you never identified the problem or how he worked it out. You got to let your guard down and be vulnerable about what we go through because it demonstrates our trust in Yahuwah and is an act of love to him. And who else? Each other, right? Because if I love you, I'm going to trust you enough to be vulnerable to you. Go ahead, Aki.
You know, I know a lot of us can say this, that some of us that, you know, give him praise sometimes, like you say, maybe half the story, or he's done something, but we just haven't said anything. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, someone went through it a little longer, but they overcame. And when they overcame, we be like, I know about, he came, he told me about, he like, well, why didn't you say something a long time ago that could have helped this person? But we don't think about it like that because we're not thinking that, we're only thinking about ourselves, if you will. But if we understand that, if a lot of us know that you hear someone else's or what they've been going through or what the Father's told you, but you didn't share it, but then they're going through it, and then you got to understand that seem like there's some type of pattern that's happening, and you got to understand that Yah's using you to help someone, but sometimes you could have made them go through something longer than they had to.
Right. Like for those that are joining us today, all of you guys have heard me say this 1,000 times. Like Yahuwah is not always going to move a mountain on your behalf. He's going to speak to you through us. But if we're not there, we don't open our mouths, how can he speak to us? We're going to interact with Yahuwah through each other. So we have to be open and vulnerable and allow him to use us. Anything else is selfish, and he didn't create us to be that way, right? Romans 13. It says, for the commands, you shall not commit adultery, you shall not murder, you shall not steal, you shall not covet. And any other commandment are summed up in this word. You shall love your neighbors as yourself. Would you want someone else to be selfish towards you? Probably not, right? Then you probably shouldn't be selfish towards them. Love does no wrong to a neighbor. Therefore, love is the fulfilling of the law. So that means I have the option to love you. No, right? It's not optional. Those that are in this, love is required of us towards each other. Philippians 2, 1-8. If then there's any encouragement in Mashiach, if any comfort of love, if any fellowship of Ruach, if any affection and compassion, make my joy complete by being of the same mind, having the same love, one in being and of purpose, doing none at all through selfishness or self-conceit. Stop there. Might selfishness or self-conceit stop us from giving the grimy details of the praise report that we need to be giving? Say in the microphone.
I don't want you to look at me in a certain way now. When I tell you this, I reveal my ugliness. I was looking good in there for a while, and then
It's that self-conceit, right? But in humility, consider others better than yourselves. They are more important than whatever I think about myself. Each one should look out not only for his own interests, but also for the interests of others. I think I've probably used this verse like in my last 5 lessons. It comes up all the time, right? Consider others better than yourselves. Each one should look out not only for his own interests, but also for the interests of others. For let this mind be in you, which is also in Mashiach, Yahusha, who, being in the form of Elohim, did not regard equality with Elohim a matter to be grasped, but emptied himself, taking the form of a servant, and came to be in the likeness of men, and having been found in fashion as a man, he humbled himself and became obedient unto death, death even of a stake. Now, how many of us are going to have to go through that? Probably not most of us, right? So if he can do that, the least I can do is give an honest and open and vulnerable and complete praise report. I don't think that's asking too much, right? I think that's pretty much the bare minimum. Let's look what they say to the letter of Corinthians. And if I have prophecy and know all secrets and all knowledge, if I have all belief, so as to remove mountains, but do not have love, I am none at all. If I give out all my possessions to feed the poor, and if I give my body to be burned, but do not have love, I am not profited at all. Love is patient. Love is kind. Love does not envy. Love does not boast, is not puffed up, does not behave indecently, does not seek its own, is not provoked, reckons not the evil, does not rejoice over unrighteousness, but rejoices in truth. Anybody heard of a lie of omission? You're shaking your head. What's a lie of omission?
You give your version of events, but you leave out the truth. So you leave out part of the truth. You tell part of the truth, but you leave part out. So that's a lie. You omit.
Like those weak praise reports that we like to give. That's not truth, right? All right, so that's not truly loving, right? does not behave indecently, does not seek its own, is not provoked, reckons not the evil, does not rejoice over the righteousness, but rejoices in the truth. It covers all, believes all, expects all, and endures all. So verse 7 is the trust that we have to have when we're willing to tell our testimony. Like whatever we got going on, this person's love for me is going to be way worse, and I'm going to feel that they looked at me a certain way. Like I'm not going to judge you based on what you went through. I'm going to join in the praise and thank you who he got you through it. Right? But again, we can't really truly say that we love ourselves and love each other if we're not going to be vulnerable with each other. It's part of the assignment. All right. Just some thoughts on the topic as we close. And again, we'll probably get to the other examples that I gave the next time I'm before you. So, we are all one body in Yahushua, correct? Now, I'm going to make this statement, and then I don't want any hands or anybody shouting out in the microphones, but I want you to consider that if this is a true statement, that we are a family. Ponder that for a minute.
You said don't blurt out either.
You didn't say blurt out.
Yeah, you did.
He didn't blurt out.
You said don't blurt out.
So again, it's the leader too, I'm going to stay there. One moment, I'll be right with you. We oftentimes say that we are a family, but we're not always fully functioning as one. And again, it's not always intentional, just some things that we aren't mindful of. So that's what I wanted to do, bring up something that I don't think we're doing intentionally. We're not doing it maliciously, but it's something that we are doing and that we want to be a little bit better and improve in that area to strengthen the family. That's what this is about, strengthening the family. Who's that? You said? Yep. Go ahead, Aki.
Yeah, we family.
You ain't here right now. You see, I'm not here right now to do my part.
All right. So again, we're supposed to treat each other like family, right? Remember that.
We get on each other's nerves.
There's always that one family member that just can't sit quietly in the corner like he's supposed to. We got to treat each other like family. Families fight and they have their issues, right? But we have the option to work through them. No. That's not an option. It's not an option to get right with your brother. It's a commandment to get right with your brother and sister when you have problems. You don't have the option. And we're going to work it out constantly. It's not, well, you messed over me just one time. I'm done with you. We don't get to do that. We don't get to do that. Unless y'all just like praying for the sake of praying, even though your prayers ain't going to be heard because you ain't getting right with your brother. I mean, when I stand before him, I'm hoping he's hearing me. So again, me getting it right with somebody is not an option. So things that were triggers for us before we were immersed cannot continue to be things that trigger us. It's not an option. So the trigger metaphor was on purpose, right? Everybody had triggers. Some people still have triggers, but we can't stay in that state. Like, well, you triggered me, so I'm going to react a certain way. We don't get that option anymore. Now, Amana, what you got?
Shalom, right? Because we are family, and because there's some things that we're going to agree on, and there's some things that we're going to disagree on. However, it's very important to work these things out, and to keep moving forward, and not to stay stagnant in certain situations. Now, we joke around with each other and say certain things to each other. I mean, that's what family members do. I mean, we play, but there has to be a level of, understanding and respect, and to get this thing right. I mean, because we play, brothers and sisters play all the time, right? So, I mean, that's what we do.
Absolutely. Especially if you got thick skin, this is not the assembly for you. Yeah. If you cannot take a joke, all y'all that's joining us, don't join us no more. Because it ain't gonna work like that. Yeah, we love to joke around and pick on each other. I posted something on my Instagram that like, if I haven't bothered you at least a little bit, I don't even like you. It wasn't my reel. I stole it from somebody and I liked it, so I added it to my story. But it's the truth. If I'm not teasing you at least a little bit, I really don't rock with you like that. I bother you all. I bother you all the time, Mama. Oh, I'm about to harass you endlessly for the next 3 months, just so there's no misunderstandings, just so there's no questions. All right. So again, the things that used to trigger us before our emergence should no longer trigger us, and we also shouldn't be triggered by each other as easily as we would be by some other people. All right. Also, take your fingers off the trigger. Don't aim your self-defense weapons at each other, because who's your defender? If y'all's defending me, if y'all has my back, I don't need to defend myself. I don't have to take offense at every tiny little thing because I got my guard wound up so tight that I'm just going to assume the worst of everybody in every situation that I find myself in. I can relax. I can take my guard down. So the defense mechanisms we use against the world are not things that we should use towards each other. We're going to let our hair down and relax and not be on guard at all times when we're amongst each other. Trust in Yahuwah and in the leadership that this is a safe space. Don't treat us like you would treat the world. Be open and willing to share your experiences, the good and the bad, right? And the ugly. And again, specifically when we're giving our praise, don't just say, hey, y'all was with me this week. You know, I had a rough week and y'all helped me. Well, what was so rough about your week? What help did he give you? I didn't do the right thing. How did you get out of it, right? You got, exactly. That's the part we leave out, right? We leave out the part that we messed up. Begging him for mercy without telling him what he was merciful for, right? That's not told. That's not how we're supposed to do this. All right. So when we hold details back, we dim our light, right? We become less useful. So I pray that we all desire to let our lives be used by the Father. Some of us will have an official responsibility in assembly. Somebody's going to be a more or a Sherrod or something like that, right? And some will not. Perfectly fine. But all of us are called to be a light and to let his light shine through us. We all have that responsibility. It's not optional. So take every opportunity to do so. Again, not just for your sake, but for the sake of the body. All right? Any questions, thoughts, or comments about today's topic?
Kamari, I just want to say thank you. I really needed to hear this today.
Hallelujah.
I mean, the Father's word is.
Stand to close out in prayer.
If there'll be no Hebrew class. We went far past the time. Slika.
O Most High Elohim, creator of all the heavens and the earth, we thank you. We thank you for the word that you have put out in our hearing, and we ask, Father, to help us to surrender ourselves to you. Anything that's messing with us, Father, let us be diligent to hand it all over to you. Let you fight our battles. Strengthen us. Help us submit ourselves to each other as family. Help us to help each other walk according to your plan and your purpose. Help us in every area, Father. We also ask, Father, in the name of Yahushua Mashiach, that you bless the speaker and his family. We ask that you lay your hands upon him. And we ask that you lay your ruach upon each and every last one of his children. We thank you, Father, for the blessings from all our Morays and their families. For you are Elohim, our creator, and you are teaching us that we may be ready for the coming of the Mashiach. We ask, Father, in the name of Yahushua Mashiach, that you bless the food that we're about to receive. Bless the hands to prepare it. Bless the funds to guide it. We ask, Father, that you bless each one of us as we go home. Let our Malachims be encamped over our vehicles, that we may go home and find our home like we left it. And we thank you, Father, for your loving commitment towards us. Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be pleasing before you, O Yahuwah, my strength and my redeemer. Amen. And I yield.
I mean, all right, again, there would be no Hebrew class today.
Yeah, we went past the time. I'm sorry. I do have a question for you guys for